exactly. The drummer was an absolute fucking machine. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Audiophiles, isn't it? My name's John. His name's Andy. I've been singing with my band across the water, across the land. I've seen every blue-eyed floozy on the way. Hey, but their beauty and their style went kind of smooth after a while. Take me to them, dirty ladies, every time. Come on! More on that later, perhaps. But first, Andy, what musical delights do you have in store for the gang today?
Something I'm almost certain you've never heard of. Rather new. The artist's name is KennyHoopla. And yes, there's a lot of buzz about the hoopla.
I know his brother, Pat Frisbee.
Is the term hoopla used over there? Like all
not
this
really.
Hoopla? Okay,
not
okay,
really.
Yeah.
That's
it's like
that's like a propsy, isn't it? I don't expect all this hula.
yeah. Exactly. So the track, and brace yourself here, it is the very concise, "How will I rest in peace if I'm buried by a highway?" Yeah.
From the roadkill sessions. Oh yes.
Yeah, exactly. So please humor me, go off and give this a listen, and come back and let me know what you think of Mr. Hoopla and this long-winded title.
Will do. Sorry. I mean, I am guilty of like having sort of preconceptions here, but from that thumbnail, I was not expecting that sound. As proper post-punk, driving. It's really good. And then the vocals didn't match either, which again, that's down to me, isn't it? Not him. But yeah, wow. Oh, bollocks. I'm going to start it again. That was really good. Ace. Yeah, so with these type of like that sort of real thrusting, propelling sort of post-punk songs, it's always the rhythm section, but particularly the bass that really drives it. And you've got this great sort of rumping, almost stalking bass that's, constantly following you. Really nice drumming. His interest there straight away. He's not just doing standard stuff. And I think it was like almost like a, what do you call it, guitar scrape. Really nice sounding. And then keys coming in, but the sort of keys that you get with really decent post-punky, perhaps new wavy, not the sort of over the top ones. It just blends in perfectly to that melody. This is good.
They say you clean up now.
I was just thinking, what does this remind me of? And the drums kick back in, and I got it. It's interesting because I think I've only maybe heard a couple of guitar notes, but that's it. It's really there's virtually no. I don't think there's any guitar there at all. But this reminds me so much of the energy and the drive of Block Party, Silent Alarm album. Yeah, it's just got that, and this drummer's great, and it's got the same absolutely mad for it sort of energy. It's but controlled. It's really good. His vocals, really like them. It's slightly shouty and they're slightly echoey. There's a bit of a touch of reverb on them. It gives the effect of somebody singing from a hole in the ground, like a well or a grave. The title of that's really clever. But it just gives that space, and he sounds really impassioned. But it's not out of control sort of impassioned, but it's, it sounds like he means it. It's really impressive. And I would say Block Party comparisons, my only slight, and it is a really slight criticism of that album, because I love it, is Kelly's vocals. He can sometimes sound a bit earnest. If they had these sort of vocals, I don't know, would it be better? It could be. It could be. I'm really loving this. Try not to keep stopping it. Sorry, I know I said I wouldn't stop it, but it's not just all shouty one level. I really like the way he dropped his voice down there. The word cross the line. Yeah. I don't know how much of this is a melodrama. It's just about relationships, and he's equating it to something much heavier because his party's over and he's on a couch, or if that's a metaphor for, within society and stuff. It could just be your proper sort of almost teenage angst stuff, or late teen, early 20 angst. Yeah, I love the way his voice drops down. Just gives it a bit more light shade, really.
Gets more heavy, it scares me. The cherubs are scarred. It's when the hearts collide. Speed it with no drive. Just let the light expire. You say you know that it's fine. I say you know that it's fine. You said it's only fun. I think it's more than fun. Gotta cut my head off. But I don't care, I don't care. Gotta cut my head off, but I don't care. so I'm still on your couch. You're taking me in, or you kicking me out.
Yeah, I love that. That was brilliant. Really enjoyed that. Drummer's a goddamn machine. It's so good. So good. There's really, hand claps aside, there was nothing not to like about this. Really dynamic, impassioned. I love the way towards the end, I think I detected sort of backing vocals or extra tracks, but they were all like ghostly murmurings. It was slightly I know they're like unsettling or a bit pathetic, really. It was almost half-assed. And then it sort of drops out and he's just repeating that mantra over and again. Like his fate is in the hands of the subject that he's singing to. Yeah, really, really cool. I don't know jack shit about Kenny. I hope you made it all right, so we don't have to say, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny." Yeah, okay, sorry. Look, need to find out much more about this. So we'll, with earnest and haste, go back and speak to Andy.
All right. So welcome back. So what was all the hoopla about? How'd you feel about this one?
Okay, so the two main points that I'd like to cover. Firstly, the initial blast of music, and it's totally my fault, but did not match expectations I had from the thumbnail. I was, in all honesty, half expecting someone to opine on the virtues of wanting to be a little bit more significant in height, a la Skilo.
Yes, I know where you're going with this.
We did not get that at all. I mean,
No.
it really was right turn, Clyde. Yeah, very different. So we get this a quick thumping from the drums, and then we're into this proper post-punk romp. As with a lot of songs of that genre that have this kind of energy, it's the bass that propels the song. I'm loath to say. Incessant and stalking. It's like knocking on a door constantly that will never be opened, and rightly so. The drumming grabs my attention straight away. It's dynamic and interesting. It puts a couple of sort of offbeat hits and everything just in the first like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
We're into something here. And we even get what sounds to me like an old school, I don't know what the proper phrase is, but I call it a guitar scrape.
Yeah. Yep.
Fucking excellent.
Yeah, they're great.
There's also like a synthy melody line that cements the whole song as well, and everything's spot on. It's an employment. And then we get surprise number 2, the vocals. We get these impassioned vocals, which are slightly shouty and slightly echoey as well. They've got a little bit of reverb on them, and it gives me the impression of somebody singing from down below ground, like in a well or a grave, which is a clever touch considering the title about being buried. So I just thought that's really nice. It kind of placed that sort of. Anyway, there's a line in it he sings, "You clean up nice just like a dead man," which is really evocative. That phrase, because you instantly picture someone at rest in their coffin with their smartest burial suit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't give a fuck. They're dead. But we do, and plenty of makeup to remove death's pallor and maybe some putty to fill in bullet holes and shit like that. But it's just really just that one phrase just puts you all there, and it's really cool. Just as the song breaks for like half a second, I'm wondering, because you do, what does this remind me of? Well, how can I hang my peg on some point of reference? And then the drums kick back in and it's there. Block Party, Silent Alarm era, complete with fantastic drum fills. The only slight criticism I have of that album is that Kelly's vocals, which I do like, can sometimes sound a bit earnest when he's singing. And here, the difference in these vocals adds so much more weight to the song. And it made me wonder what Silent Alarm would sound like with this guy singing. Would it work? Would it wouldn't? I don't know, but it must not make me think. So we're getting to the second verse, and Kenny's sounding even more pissed off. And at the end of his tether, but the nice thing as well is his vocals aren't on one level all the time.
Yeah.
So his voice dips down, and then he goes, "If you won't cross it, take your time, but I might die," goes down, and it gets you more feel involved in the melodrama that's unfolding. Now, like I said in reaction, I don't know whether this is some sort of, because the lyrics, I was following them, I was reading them, I was kind of taking them in, but not really, because there's a lot going on musically that I was fucking loving. I don't know whether this is a melodrama, like a teenage or early 20s, sort of almost affairs of the heart drama, or if it's a metaphor for something more societal. I don't know. Don't really care. But yeah, it's just you're involved anyway. It's really cool. Few more fucking amazing drum fills and proclamations that she's going to cut my head off, but I don't care. And then we drop down to a foreboding bass. Is there any other kind? And as he sings the title line, there's a pumping drum and these scattered sort of cymbal strikes. And then the melody line comes back in at the mention of cherub, which is a really nice touch. It's almost like, the sort of heavenly choirs coming back in to give me some hope of the words cherub. Vocals rise as the high hit sort of rasp to an isolated vocal of the cut off headline as well, which is just great. It's really good production technique, and hand claps aside, it actually achieves something rather than just doing a technique to change it, or because his voice really sounds so impassioned at this point. As I've come to expect now, here come the drum fill, and it doesn't disappoint, and it completely re-energizes the track again from that slow down, like a big bonus power pack. Up goes your levels. And this point when it kicks back in is the most Block Party sounding of the whole song, and it's great. As he sings the next bit, there's some added vocals, which they're kind of faint, and some of them are off-timed deliberately, so slightly repeating either a word or a little bit of the phrase. And it's weird because it's almost like ghostly mutterings, a kind of echo of his words, but slightly off. So it's a little bit, unsettling's too strong a word, but it's off. But it also feels a little bit resigned as well. Not sad or pathetic, but it's like, it's like you feel a bit beaten. Which again is really interesting. I don't know what it's trying to convey there. That's what I got out of it. And the fact I got something out of it.
I think you're spot on.
To me. The music fades to just this sort of melody line, and he repeats, "The party's over. I'm still on your couch. You're taking me in or you're kicking me out." And that repeats over again, that phrase, to a sort of breathless finish. And it's like his fate is up to the subject of who he's singing to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in your hands now. Yeah, this is a real surprise. Musically, it was fantastic. I love the vocals, even though they weren't the most refined, but they don't have to be. It was what it conveys. And
almost some of the song's charm actually comes from that. You know what I mean? So it becomes this thing that would otherwise be a weakness over any other palette becomes now its strength.
Definitely. The drummer was an absolute fucking machine. Very much like Matt Tong in Block Party as well, is an absolutely brilliant and tireless drummer. There were slight touches of echoes of many bands, but particularly I felt the sound, took the way sort of all meshed together. Yeah, I loved it.
Awesome. I thought you might. I know you and I have mentioned Block Party here and there to one another, which is honestly, to the people watching, why they're not on this channel, because we both know Block Party pretty well. So it's like, there's no point in canvassing ground that we've already gone over. But yeah, it's funny. I didn't take any of this down, but he says in this interview that I was reading in the preparation for this episode about how it's both an absolute honor and a bit of a frustration that every time someone says, "Oh, you're like this," it's always TV on the radio mixed with Block Party. And he's like,
Is it?
you've just picked the other two black indie bands or indie
Right.
acts. And like is it so impossible for me to sound like a Caucasian led group or and so it, and I get that it's probably he doesn't want to be lumped into that or become become its own thing. He wants to be part of the larger pool and not. It's an interesting distinction.
It is. I mean, I picked Block Party because of musicality.
Yeah, and I'm not putting any of that on you, John, but it is.
Kelly plays the guitar, and I would say the difference between the two is the vocals. I actually kind of prefer his. I don't know if a whole album of this probably would be. You'd have to vary it a bit more. Do you know what I mean? This is absolutely spot on for this track.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think about color. But that's interesting that he gets that all the time.
Yeah,
that does say a lot. You know,
it does. Yeah. And it's usually from people that look like us, so it makes it even more of a complex thing to digest and kind of compute, right? You know what I mean? So I get where he's coming from in that regard, even though I don't have that shared experience. But yeah, really interesting, young, talented guy. Kenneth Laurent is his given name. Goes by the name Kenny Hoopla. And brace yourself because this shit makes me feel old. Born August 5th, 1997. He's an American singer, songwriter, and musician.
In my head, that makes him about 7 or 8 years old.
Exactly, man. Oh, you're so right. So he was born in Cleveland, Ohio, but moved to Oshkosh, Wisconsin as a child. He spent a large part. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you start to get some interesting names as you get out there. Well, what am I saying? Upstate New York's got some interesting names. But yeah, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. He spent a large part of his youth between the two cities, so he's a Midwestern kid. When asked about his earliest musical memory in an interview with DIY magazine, Laurent recalled recording a horrible freestyle rap on a cassette toy his mother gave him when he was around 10 years old. Kenny Hoopla began posting songs to his SoundCloud page in 2016, which again, as far as time goes, feels like fucking yesterday. And on October 5th, 2016, he released an EP titled Beneath the Willow Tree to SoundCloud, which consisted of some of the tracks he had posted throughout the year, as well as some new songs. The EP received acclaim from several music blogs who considered him an artist to watch. Later the same month, he uploaded the song Cave to SoundCloud, which became his most streamed song on the site at the time. Hoopla released his commercial debut single Waves on August 6, 2017. This followed by Sickness in 2018. On February 1st, 2019, he released the single Lost Cause, which became the most popular song of at the time and gained him more exposure. This was followed by Sore Loser on September 18th, which was also positively received. So he's just doing that thing that we've talked about with some of our other younger, more modern bands where they're just releasing stuff almost in real time rather than really. I think of Joe P, right? Like where he's just putting out songs and then waiting, I guess, to find time to put them all onto an album and sort of create some other songs to add to them. So yeah, a year later, he released the single How Will I Rest in Peace If I'm Buried by a Highway? This track quickly became his most popular song to date, becoming his first song to reach 1 million views on YouTube and garnering praise for its unique post-punk and new wave inspired sound. The track also received radio play on alternative music stations and peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Alternative Airplay chart. On March 12th, he released the follow-up single, The World is Flat and This is the Edge. And in May, he released the single Plastic Door and announced that his EP, How Will I Rest in Peace If I'm Buried by the Highway, would be released on Friday, May 15th of that year. So the EP received critical acclaim, being praised for its versatile mixture of sounds such as indie rock, hip hop, pop punk, and drum and bass. So to your point a moment ago where you're like, I don't know if the whole EP or album of this would be listenable in one go. Without doing like changing up, like you said, that's exactly what he does. Like not every song is cut from this cloth. So it gives the album some variance and not just so one note. And as you mentioned, when it's abrasive like this, which is good for a track, 8 tracks of this, 6 tracks of this, 12 track, it's like it might be a little much. So I get your point. And perhaps that's something that he had in mind when he kind of put this EP together. In an interview with the 45, Hoopla described his musical awakening coming from listening to bands like Passion Pit and Phoenix, as well as rappers Nelly and Ludacris. So this interesting two worlds thing that kind of, helped craft his craft. When describing the songs and the songwriting process, Hoopla said, "There's an aura about indie rock music and a sound and energy that I can't explain, but I feel like I have it in me. It was cool that it was cool that it came out and other people are feeling it. It was written in a place which I felt super, super doubtful." Julia M. of the Luna Collective wrote a small piece on the EP upon its release saying, "Each track has its unique vibe from EDM to guitar, but there are always exploding with meaningful messages. The Wisconsin-based artist taps into a new nostalgia vibe that his emotive vocals and inviting production that features his emotive vocals and inviting production elements." She would then go on to write, "With a background in a variety of creative pursuits, from breakdance to photography, Kenny Hoopla is in it to conquer all that he pursues. The EP showcases Kenny Hoopla's lust for experimentation and always making it work." Liam Kahneman of Dork wrote in his review of the EP, "The songs on How Will I Rest in Peace If I'm Buried by a Highway are by no means rudimentary. Kenny's writing is poetic and sometimes sad, without resorting to wallowing or extreme earnestness," something you had mentioned. Despite lyrics about karma, oppression, and hitting rock bottom, the EP feels more life-affirming than bleak. Maximilian Polo of Ones to Watch wrote of the track, "The very opening moments of How Will I Rest in Peace If I'm Buried by a Highway call to mind the guitar and synth-driven euphoria of 80s new wave, the pain and beauty of Joy Division. Yet once Kenny Hoopla's pained vocals come into focus, there is a lingering sentiment of dance punk and early block party to be found. And while Joy Division, well, in all honesty, New Order more so, block party and a constantly reinventing new wave built the foundation for most of my musical taste, Kenny Hoopla is more than just borrowed nostalgia." He would add that it is more than just a mouthful or a passing philosophical statement on the notion of eternal rest in the context of a capitalist society self-expanding to its own demise. It's a cathartic explosion of sound and inspiration. So yes, I think you had said, is it a metaphor or is this really like a late teens, early 20s love? I think it is a metaphor for what the writer Maximilian just talked about there, sort of this personification of America in its current capitalistic state. So yeah, interesting stuff. We will get into these lyrics. "She's gonna cut my head off, but I don't care. I don't care. She's gonna cut my head off, but I don't care. They say you clean up nice. You look like a dead man, like a dead man. She say you dress up nice. I feel like a dead man, a dead man. Culture is so claustrophobic. Claws to prove it hurts so good. And the party's over. I'm still on your couch now, love. Yeah, if there's a line, I know you won't cross it. Take your time, take your time. But I might die, but I might die. She's gonna cut my head off, but I don't care. I don't care. She's gonna cut my head off, but I don't care. They say you clean up nice, just like a dead man, like a dead man. She say you dress up nice. I feel like a dead man, a dead man. How can I rest in peace if I'm buried by a highway? Pain on the keys, is everybody still breathing? Weight of my shadow, it gets more heavy, and it scares me, yeah. The cherub's a scar, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's when the hearts collide, yeah, yeah, yeah. Speeding with no drive, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just let the lie expire, yeah, yeah, yeah. You say you know that it's fine, yeah, yeah, yeah. I say I know that it's fine, yeah, yeah, yeah. You say it's only a fire, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's more than a fire. She's gonna cut my head off, but I don't care. I don't care. She's gonna cut my head off, but I don't care. They say you clean up nice, nice, just like a dead man, like a dead man. She say you dress up nice, nice. I feel like a dead man, a dead man. She's gonna cut my head off, but I don't care. I don't care. She's gonna cut my head off, but I don't care. They say you clean up nice, nice, just like a dead man, like a dead man. She say you dress up nice, nice. I feel like a dead man, a dead man. And then in this live sort of version that we heard the audio of, he adds that party's over. I'm still on the couch. Are you taking me in? Are you keeping me or kicking me out? And he repeats that a bit, which is interesting. And I wish that bit had actually made it into the initial recording, because it's sort of like he's confronting this place that says out of one side of its mouth says it welcomes all and there's a dream for anybody here, and then or really what its actions contradict those words by, you know, the things you see day to day here in the States, which is interesting. And I'm sure looking at it through his unique perspective and lens, one that we'll never understand, it's even more of a climb in a situation. And it's just interesting. I love the use of metaphor in this. I love the music, the sound, the guitars, the drums are amazing. The bass does a killer job, and that synth stuff is wonderful too. It's just a really good song, and I can't wait for him to really assemble a full album. He's continued to release stuff in this sort of, you know, one by one kind of vein. He's collaborated with a guy whose band I know you're not a big fan of at all, and I'm really not either. But I do appreciate him as a drummer, and that's Travis Barker of Blink-182, who has worked with him in doing drums on some of these more recent tracks that he's done. And it's continued good material. So hopefully there's more from Kenny Hoopla in the future, because I understand what the hoopla is all about. It's a good artist. Oh, John, thank you so much for giving this a listen, man. I really do appreciate it. Guys out there,
I real fun listening to this. I thought this was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's always refreshing to hear some, 2020 and onward, even 2016 and on. Hear some new music and have your spirits buoyed by the state of music, because sometimes there's shit out there where you're just like, what are they doing? What is this modern stuff doing? But yeah, great shit. Glad you liked it. Guys out there in the listening audience, let us know what you made of Kenny Hoopla. This track in particular, if you're familiar with this, if not, what you thought of it, if there's any other stuff from the past maybe that you're reminded of having heard this outside of the bands that we listed here in the review. Also, while we have your attention, please like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so inclined. We're trying to grow the channel. Can't do that without you guys, and we really do appreciate your presence here on the channel. All that out of the way, hopefully John and I will see all y'all and growing numbers in the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.